there was this gap between like what people are doing with online business and what therapists were doing. Like most practices are not doing like any telehealth, or like not not modernizing around telehealth, which would be like, it's just a glaringly obvious thing. It's like brick and mortar businesses not having an e-commerce store. It's like so obvious in a lot of cases, and people are just not doing it. And I know it's like it's a what I found was it's like a it's a problem with the entire industry, and that's why people aren't trying to innovate around it.
Yeah. So a couple things with that. One, it depends on who you're working with, right? So if they're a private practice and they're like a cash only clinic, right? Telehealth isn't an issue because they can charge whatever they want for a session. If they're doing it, if they're accepting insurance, because basically the way insurance works, I mean, there's a bunch of fucked up shit with it, but like
Yeah.
insurance, one can just write you an IOU and say, hey, we owe you a bunch of money. We'll pay you when we pay you. You can fuck off. But it's also, if I charge $200 for an hour long session and I say, but I will accept insurance, insurance says, hey, we'll offer you 85. And that's it. Like, even though your rate is 200, we will offer you 85. You can take it or you cannot accept insurance.
Yeah.
And then and that's for in-person. With telehealth, and it may have changed over the last year because I don't do therapy anymore. But before telehealth, you would make like half as much or a fraction purely because it was telehealth, because insurance is just like, nah, we don't want to pay as much for that. So that is a deciding factor for a lot of businesses with therapy, is like, we want to offer it because it's way more convenient for our patients. They can just, roll out of bed and just turn on their fucking phone. But if the practitioner isn't making enough money to cover costs, they can't offer it.
Yeah.
Right? So like you said, like the system is super fucked up, but that's one of the reasons. But I mean, you're right. Like with marketing, I remember I worked at this private practice for a little bit, and because again, we get no training in, copywriting, SEO, marketing, all this shit. And my boss bought ad space. Specifically though, so if you go to like a grocery store and like the carts or the buggies, whatever you call them, there is this panel on the back of the cart. So like if I'm walking towards you with my cart, you are looking at me and you see like all the groceries, and then you see that little place where like the child can sit.
Mm-hmm.
On that back plate, there's this little piece of ad space.
Yeah.
That literally no one could fucking read at the distance that they would be. Like, I would have to be right up in your face in your buggy to read this fucking, ad space.
Impossible.
She bought that. She spent thousands of dollars on this one little fucking square. I'm like, girl, you could have done
that.
That would have been better spent with like fucking Facebook ads or some shit. Like, what the fuck?
It's almost
we don't
like
get trained.
It's like a show, like a funny show.
Yeah, but it was real, and thousands of dollars. Was like, girl, like, you can't, like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm not a marketer, but fuck, I know this is a waste of money.
Could have seen that. Yeah, anyone could have seen that. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, man. I had a frustrating time trying to convince therapists and psychologists with their own practice that they could be doing more. Like, they just had no scope of like, dude, I've sold like stuff from China on websites, and like I've sold, my own marketing service, like with a one-click option, and I just thought, like, you guys have this amazing skill. This whole market is like packed with people who have this amazing gift, and they just have no motivation or realization that they could be like getting people to click a button and pay them money and be in a call with them all day long.
It's the paradigm, right? We call them schemas, but there's just, this paradigm of, this is the way it is, right? So, one of my last jobs, I was salaried. Okay. So if I saw 2 people a day or 20 people a day, I got paid pretty much the same. There was like a very, very minimal bonus that wasn't worth the amount of people you had to see to get. But basically speaking, I got paid the same, no matter how many people I saw, no matter how good I was at my job, how long it took me to do my fucking notes, nothing. That breeds a toxic level of complacency.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, I remember like there was one time, and we would do like monthly staff meetings, so like with just a psychologist. There was one time for 3 months in a row, we spent, and we would have like 3 hours once a month. We spent 3 meetings, 3 months worth, 9 hours talking about the exact same shit because there was no consequence to figure it out or not figure it out. But we knew we had to fill up those 3 hours because if we didn't, we wouldn't get 3 hours next month. And dude, like, I'm just like itching out of my skin with it because I'm like, I can't fucking be here. Like we need to be more efficient. Well, why, Corey? There's no purpose in being more efficient.
Yeah, that's it.
And I'm like, look, man, by the time my patient walks out the door, my notes are fucking done. But then some people are like, oh no, I'm working on notes all evening and all this because they're just fucking around at work all day.
Yeah. The incentivization is not in the right place.
No. And the other thing, man, is, psychologists inherently come from academia, right? Academia is incredibly predatory. Not all, I'll make that caveat, but a fucking lot. And what I mean by that is you can spend years on this research project, and then sometimes you have to pay to submit it to a journal, to a book, whatever. And then they profit off of it and you don't get paid a goddamn thing. Like,
dang,
the most you're going to get is a free book, one free book, right?
That's insane.
So psychologists are conditioned to not think about monetizing their knowledge, right? And that's the thing is, I'm working on my own course right now. That's part of why I joined Rite of Passage, was to become a better storyteller and a better writer, so that the content I create in these, modules is actually engaging, right? It isn't just like a dry lecture. Because I taught college, in grad school, like I taught like 15 or 16 psychology classes, but it's just lecture, right? But that's the thing, man, is that's the environment you're coming from. You are not trained to have an entrepreneurial mindset to take the, like Jack Butcher talks about, build once, sell twice. You're not trained to think in those terms. You're trained to clock in, clock out. If you do research, you do research just for the sake of doing it, and expect no compensation beyond maybe if you present at a conference, they'll fly you out. Mm-hmm. That's it for most people.
Yeah. 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 I found that was a really difficult hurdle to get over. And like, just from a marketing perspective, I've gone into lots of different industries, and not every industry is like driven by sales and making, the incentivization for like immediate sales. But it's really hard to get over those hurdles. Some people, some sectors, they're just, if their bread isn't affected by how much or how little they sell, then it just doesn't click for them that they could be doing more. And even from a philanthropic perspective, or just like you have value to give, wouldn't you want to give more value to more people more often? And I think some people just get tricked out of that one way or another.
It's also, even thinking about it in terms of like a value ladder, right? So, I'm working to build mine, but right now, like, my written content is free, right? Like, I try, and I write on, mindset, habits, mental wellness, shit like that. So trying to, to make psychology accessible to more people, and to teach them things that they probably won't find elsewhere on the internet. So that is free. I don't want that to be a barrier. Right. And I'm working, like I said, on this course and some other things for like a medium price point. But like, one-on-one coaching, like, that is a premium price tag because I only work with, a handful of people at a time. And that is my time. My time doesn't scale. Right. But I know that isn't a viable option for a lot of people. So I try really hard to focus on offering lower priced, high quality content for that same reason, because it isn't a mutually exclusive thing. It isn't either free shit or super expensive shit. Like, there's plenty of wiggle room in the middle. But like you said, like, a lot of people don't think about it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that